I already showed you some awesome high-end assassin gameplay in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Well, in this video we're also going to take a look at a character with an awesome hood, but this time it will be focused on ranged, because you can really go all out with your bow in Odyssey and use it in way more ways than we saw in Origins. So let's take an in-depth look in this video. If you enjoyed that, then a like would be super appreciated, and let's go. You see a level 40 character at work here. The max level in Odyssey is level 50, as I noted in previous videos as well. So this is an almost maxed out character that has a full focus on the ranged ability line. At any point in the game you can, by the way, reset your skill points for a small amount of gold and put them somewhere else. And like I said in my assassin video, you can also mix and match, so you can totally be a ranger like assassin hybrid if you want. For the first time ever, we get a look at all the arrows that will be craftable in the game. So you got the regular ones, we got the paralyzing arrows that can knock out targets. We never saw the poison arrows before, but you can use them to weaken the targets. And you, of course, then also deal damage over time. The fire arrows, of course, also make the enemies burn, so they take damage over time as well. And below that, we have the death arrow that moves faster and penetrates deeper and also deals more damage. I showed you that in a previous video. And the other arrow is not known, like I don't know what the name is. So we will have to wait for that one. But yeah, all the arrows require to be crafted with the resources you find in the world or in the naval combat, for example. And they of course add some nice gameplay variety and can be used with the huge amount of different abilities you can do with a bow. And some are based on the bows we saw in Origins, like the spread shot. That is basically a warrior bow that shoots multiple arrows at once, like a shotgun, with up to 7 arrows if you have the ability at level 3, and that is the same as a warrior bow in Origins with the extra arrow perk. Good to know though is that it will not cost any arrows to do this ability, so that totally saves the arrows it would normally cost to shoot the warrior bow. The ability of course does cost adrenaline just like all the other abilities, and you see the adrenaline bar below your health bar. We also got the Predator Shot ability that is like the Predator Bow from Origins, meaning that you can control the arrow mid-air and then move it onto a target. You can upgrade all the abilities up to level 3, and that gives you also access to using the ability with one of the special arrows. So then the Predator Shot will be even more powerful. So there's only one bow type in Odyssey now. It plays like the Hunter's Bow from Origins, but you can make it like the Predator and Warrior Bow via abilities. Although my favorite bow, the light bow, is sadly not in Odyssey. Maybe because it was too overpowered. Speaking of overpowered, we got the ability Overpower Bow Strike. That is basically an overpower attack with the bow and then unleash a very powerful arrow that deals a ton of damage and explodes on impact, hitting the enemies around the target as well. And now on to one of the most interesting abilities in the ranged category, the Ghost Arrows of Artemis ability. Of course, if you watched my video where I talked about all the abilities in the game, you already knew that this one was coming, but now we see it in action as well, because this lets you shoot arrows through walls. Yes, stone walls. If you see an enemy, you can just aim and kill them off, and if there happen to be another enemy in that same line, it will get hit too. Upgrading this ability will not only increase the damage, but will also let you shoot special arrows through walls. So that is pretty crazy. My favorite archer ability though is the multi-shot, since it's basically brainless shooting and hitting multiple targets. Since you instantly tag the enemies and then just lose the arrows and they will find their targets. The more you upgrade the ability, the more targets you can tag, and it also adds the ability to shoot the special arrows. In the gameplay I received from Ubisoft, you see that this multi-shot ability does cost arrows to use, so that makes it less useful because it will cost a ton of arrows if you shoot 4 or up to 7 at a time. Again, not sure what the criteria is for abilities costing arrows or not, since I did not get a clear answer during the presentation I got at Ubisoft Quebec. Let's take a look at the armor set. That looks really cool. So I don't have any footage of the stats from the armor. I would imagine that all those purple gear pieces give increased damage to the ranged abilities. Some of the stats I saw on the ranged gear are comparable to the ones we see here on this reflex bow. Anyway, some gear pieces had increased headshot damage, increased damage if you hit a distant target, or also interesting is that there was a perk that would give you an extra ability segment after performing a headshot, because that is the thing. All the abilities cost of course adrenaline, and you need to build it up by attacking the target. But shooting the enemy in the chest does not give you any adrenaline. You really need to aim for the heads to be able to do these abilities. So having a perk that gives you more for those headshots is really good. Oh, and by the way, if we look at this gear window, one item looks very familiar, right? If you played as much Origins as I did, then you know. Yes, do you see it? I'm of course talking about the Mushusu heavy blade that was also in Origins at launch. Well, it seems like it will be back in Odyssey. Curious to see if it will have the same sleep on hit stats. So first the Sun Slayer that appeared in the opening cutscene of the E3 demo, and now the Mushusu. Can I have the Serpent Axe as well then please? Or the Jackal Get? Okay, let's skip that weapon. Of course, subscribe for everything Assassin's Creed Odyssey if you haven't already. I got a really cool look at a high level warrior coming your way really soon. Keep an eye out for that. Drop a like to support the channel, check out my video on the high-end assassin playstyle, and I will speak to you next time. Goodbye!